Welcome to the Rockets Propaganda Channel. This is your boy AK Infinity. Follow me on Twitter at AKInfinity_VVS. And today we got some NBA propaganda. We're going to talk about defensive rating, offensive rating, and how we're supposed to properly evaluate players using those statistics. Those are advanced statistics. We're in the age of advanced statistics, but I think a lot of times we see fans using it wrong. So we're going to get into a little bit of that today in the video. Before we get into it though, go ahead and hit that like button because you already liked the video. Subscribe to the channel because you feeling the content, and leave a comment down below if you want to join the conversation. We in here, let's get it.
Drop this in the...
So before we dive into the topic, I'm gonna give a quick shout out to @NowNumber5 on Twitter. So he says defensive rating is a terrible way to evaluate someone's defense. Cat is 4th in the league in that. Sengun is 5th above Chet, Wemby, Tatum, and Jared Allen. Do you think Cat and Sengun are better defenders than those guys? Do you think Spider is a better defender than Herb? Yeah, let's go ahead and expand on this. I'm gonna pull up some numbers. We're gonna provide context, and I'm gonna let y'all know exactly how I use defensive and offensive rating, for that matter, to evaluate players. So, offensive rating. 5 best offensive teams in the league: Pacers, Celtics, Bucks, Thunder, 76ers. Bottom 5: Grizzlies, Spurs, Blazers, Pistons, Hornets. Top defensive rated teams: Timberwolves, Celtics, 76ers, Magic, Rockets. Bottom 5 defensive teams: Wizards, Hornets, Pistons, Hawks, Pacers. You can compare offensive and defensive rating across different teams when you're comparing team to team. But what you can't do is compare offensive and defensive rating from a player on one team to another player on a completely different team. That don't work. The reason that doesn't work is it doesn't account for pace, teammates, and other hidden factors that we're not even, that are like deeper factors that obviously the numbers are not going to be able to track. So what you want to do is you want to use offensive and defensive rating to compare players on the same team. I'm going to go through and we're going to look at 5 teams, and I'm gonna give examples of how to properly use defensive and offensive rating, and how not to properly use offensive and defensive rating. So we're gonna look at the Celtics, we're gonna look at the Bulls, we're gonna look at the Milwaukee Bucks, we're gonna look at the Timberwolves, and we're gonna look at the Rockets, because this is the Rockets Propaganda Channel, baby. Hit the like button. Let's kick it off with the Boston Celtics. We're going to highlight Derek White. He has an offensive rating of 123.1. That's pretty damn good. That's the highest of all of the regular rotation players on the team. But let's kick it on over to the Chicago Bulls. And let's look at DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan is their best player. He's the best player in the Chicago Bulls. But he has a less offensive rating by 12 compared to Derek White. Let me ask you a question, man. This is a serious question. You had one game to win, Celtics versus Bulls. Celtics best player. Let's say the best player on the Celtics is gonna be Derek White. No Tatum, no Brown, just Derek White. He's your go-to guy. Close game, tie game, you want somebody to take the last shot, or you got forget about that. Let's say you got one game to win. You got one game to win to save your life, and on the other side, you playing the Bulls with DeMar DeRozan. Let's make sure you put the pipe down. You're not gonna take Derek White over DeMar DeRozan if you had one game to win. You just ain't gonna do it. You ain't gonna do it. Even though DeMar DeRozan, he's a little older now, but he's still hooping. Like he's still hooping. He's still a better player. He's still overall he's still a better player than Derek White to me. But let's get real here, man. The proper way to do this is, let's go back to the Celtics. So all this really means is Derek White's offensive impact within the context of what they're trying to accomplish equals 123.1. Now that doesn't mean he's their best offensive player. That just means that's his impact to their offense within the confines of what they're trying to do, their team construct, and their offensive game plan. That's his impact. Because Lord knows, if you go in a game with the Celtics and you either opposing team, if you said, hey, pick somebody on that offense who you would rather go off than your top player, you're gonna pick Derek White. He's like their fifth best, or fourth. I'll say he's probably their fourth best offensive player. Drew Holiday's probably the fifth best, but yeah, Drew Holiday's probably the fifth option. Whereas Derek White, he can be the fourth option. But you mean to tell me you gonna take Derek White over Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum? No, you're not gonna do that. But all it does is just provides some context for the impact that this one individual has on their offense. Like I said, within the confines of what they're trying to accomplish. Now, same thing with the Chicago Bulls. Kobe White, man, you can actually argue Kobe White as of late has been better than DeMar DeRozan, but make no mistake about it. One game to win, if I'm the opposing coach, I need to stop DeMar DeRozan first. I'm not trying to stop Kobe White first. That's a recipe for disaster. Now let's go on over to defensive rating. Now, defensive rating is a little bit different as opposed to offensive rating. Defensive rating, for the most part, I would say kind of tells you who the best defensive players are on a given team for the most part. It's not going to be pinpoint accurate every time, but it's mostly accurate. So let's look at the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is the best defensive team in the league right now. All right. And we know perennial defensive player of the year candidate, Rudy Gobert. He's the man in the middle. He's the center. This 105 defensive rating is crazy. That's stupid. That's wild. But Karl-Anthony Towns is not really too far behind him at 108. But within the confines of the team, within the players who get regular rotation minutes, because Luka Garza is not playing every game. Leonard Miller, damn sure ain't playing every game. But let's look at Karl-Anthony Towns. He's within their regular rotation. He's like one of their worst defensive players, but his defensive rating is still 108.2. But let's be real though. Like if you watch Timberwolves, Cat's defense has improved. It has, but nobody gonna call him a lockdown defender. It's just, if Gobert got hurt and you wanted to isolate and target one guy, you can still target Cat a little bit. But if you look within the confines of what they're trying to accomplish as a team, he's one of their worst defensive players. But they're still a great defensive team because they have a great defensive system. Now, let's look at the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, the Milwaukee Bucks, their defense has kind of slipped. I wouldn't say kind of, it's really slipped from, seasons past. A lot of that is just because, well, Drew Holiday gone, and they got a leaky perimeter defense. Like they allow so many dribble drives, it ain't even funny. It's crazy. Like anybody can go and get to the second level of the defense whenever they feel like. Get to the middle of the defense whenever they feel like. It's crazy. Leaving guys open for threes. Not even Not even just by design, but they can't even. They're not even fighting over screens. They can't. They're getting roasted. But let's look at Giannis. Well, no, that's Thanasis. Ooh, boy, that last name crazy. Let's look at Giannis, man. Giannis got a defensive rating of 114.7. Now, let me ask you a question. I'm just asking a question. Just no, you ain't gotta be mad now. I'm just asking a question. Now, are you telling me you're playing the Lakers? AD is gonna take the last shot if LeBron is hurt. But let's say AD is taking the last shot. You playing the Lakers back to back. One night it's Cat, Garden, AD, and the next night is Giannis, Garden, AD. Now let me ask you a question. Stop being upset. Who do you think AD is more likely to get a good shot off against? Cat or Giannis? Let's be real here. This is exactly why you can't compare these ratings across different teams. You compare them against players on the same team. Now, this season so far, according to the impact of the players who get regular rotation minutes, Brook Lopez is their best defensive player. And he is. If you watch them, I mean, there's ways to attack him, but it's just very difficult because, they got Giannis flanking him, or they got Lopez flanking Giannis. Two big 7-foot guys who's just beasts on defense. But yeah, Brook Lopez is their best defensive player, but Giannis is still, if in the right system, Giannis could still be defensive player of the year. He's even a former defensive player of the year. But as you can see, within the confines of what they're trying to accomplish, Brook Lopez is their best defensive player. And that's how you look at that. Since this is the Rockets propaganda channel, I had to get my Rockets up in here because the Rockets are always going to be part of the conversation when I'm talking about anything NBA on this channel. So, best offensive play on the Rockets, unless you've been living under a rock, underneath some bridge that ain't got no internet in the middle of nowhere, you probably are not surprised that Alperen Sengun is leading the way for the Rockets offense right now. It's just no surprise. He's been everything and then some. His growth this season on the offensive end has just been something to behold. He ain't been a slouch defensively either. His impact to the Rockets offense is number one. Next after that, Fred VanVleet, Dillon Brooks, to the shock of many of y'all Dillon Brooks haters, especially the ones that also hate the Rockets too. How you like them apples? I hope they sour, and I hope there's a worm in the middle. We got Jabari Smith at 4th and Tari Eason at 5th. Now let's look at defensive rating. Nate Williams is our best defensive player. Nah, he ain't getting no playing time. As far as the players that get regular rotation minutes, this man right here, Tari Eason. If you watch a Rockets game, this man will play like within 10 minutes, he didn't cause 3 or 4 steals. Well, he didn't help create like 4 turnovers. He getting offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds. He's blocking shots. He all over the place. The man is he's a unit on defense by himself. When he's on the court, the team is just so much better defensively. It's unbelievable. Second best defender on the team is going to be Aaron Holiday. His defense has been really good, but he only getting about close to 20 minutes a game. But when he's playing he usually comes in with the bench mob with Tari Eason together. So that kind of is going to impact the rating, as a matter of fact. So the bench unit is usually Aaron Holiday, Amen Thompson, Tari Eason, Jeff Green. It's usually those 4, and maybe with 1 starter in there. But that unit usually come in and they lock down, man. We got a good defensive unit coming off the bench. Oh, the 5th bench person is Jae'Sean Tate too. I mean, Jae'Sean he's coach's pet. He does a lot of little things. He gets a lot of steals too. He creates a bunch of havoc. He's a chaos kind of player, man. He's an energy guy. Then Amen Thompson. Amen Thompson he's just got back from being injured and got back from being sick. And he's one of our better defensive players. Like, if you watch the Rockets, you see the man come in and he's making things happen on defense. He may even miss a rotation or two, but he'll make it up with his athleticism and get back, block a shot, get a steal. Really, really good to see. And then I don't really want to put Cam Whitmore in there quite yet, because he just started getting some rotation minutes with Dylan and Tari both out. But Fred VanVleet, man, he's another guy who just be locking up on defense. And even if he's not like completely locking down somebody, he's just always in the right spot. And if you watch the Rockets are a top 3 in the NBA in forcing teams to play deep into the shot clock, which I think is like the last 3 seconds. So we get a lot of shot clock violations, and a lot of that is Fred VanVleet. He's making a lot of calls. He's, directing traffic on the defensive end, telling guys where to be. He's a very vocal communicator, man. Him and Dylan Brooks as well. I know some people are surprised Dylan Brooks isn't exactly on the top 5 defensive players for the Rockets right now, but that's actually not even that bad of a thing, because everybody else has just been so good. Like, Dylan Brooks don't even look like he's that good. But then again, too, Dylan Brooks, he's usually on the best guy. Best guy, whether it's a point guard, whether it's a power forward. The only person you're not going to put him on is like a Jokic or Embiid. The man guarding Giannis, he guarding Zion, he guarding Karl Anthony Towns, he guarding anybody except a center. I'm not putting him on no center. Now, we're not doing that. But anyway, these guys, the Rockets, again, Rockets Propaganda Channel. Rockets have been very impressive on the defensive end so far this year. As we saw earlier in the video, we 5th in the NBA in defensive rating, which nobody saw coming before the start of the season. So that's the skinny of it all. That's how I look at offensive and defensive rating. That's how I use it to help me evaluate players. The best way to utilize both statistics is from a player-to-player perspective on the same team, not a player from one team on another team, and then let's say, oh, he's a better offensive player, or this person is a better defensive player. Nah, it don't work like that, man. It don't work like that. But the purpose of this video, and really the purpose of my channel, is to try to have better basketball conversations, because I feel like a lot of times when people are discussing basketball, they kind of just throw out numbers and they don't really know what the numbers mean. They throw out numbers and they don't really provide the proper context behind it. So let's have better basketball conversations. Let's have smarter basketball conversations, because just saying he trash or he sucks, that ain't enough no more, man. Let's do better. Let's be better, man. And if you like the video, which you do because you're still here at this point, you like the video, go ahead and punch that like button. Hit the subscribe if you're feeling the content. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Do I sound crazy? Does it sound off? Do you want to add anything? Do you want to remove anything what I said in the video? Let me know in the comments down below. This is your boy AK Infinity. Follow me on Twitter at AKinfinity_VVS. This is the Rockets Propaganda Channel, and we out.